Once more, very good afternoon to one and all. Dear student, today we are starting the Unit 5. This is associated with the Indian regulatory system. Now, whenever it has been said that it is the Indian regulatory system, that means let's have some of the general discussion associated with this, that it is dealing with what are the different aspects associated with that, and what the functions it will perform. So Indian regulatory system, that is the particular system which is responsible in the process of giving approvals to the drugs, giving approvals to the clinical trials, giving approvals to the manufacturing process, giving approvals to the sale and distribution of the drugs. So we have to see that what is the particular topmost authority, what is the central authority, what are the state authorities, and what are the different functionaries. Functionaries, these are nothing but the workforce which is responsible for handling all these affairs related with the regulatory system. So we had the different inspectors, we had the different controllers, they will perform at their different levels. So now let's go through the slides one by one, and we will going to come to know all this. So the Indian regulatory system, that is associated with the CDSCO. CDSCO is nothing but the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which is situated at New Delhi, and there is a state licensing authority. Now this state licensing authority, what is its organization, what are the responsibilities, what is the COPP, that is the certificate of pharmaceutical product, the different regulatory requirements, and the approval process associated with the new drugs. So this is the topic with which we have to discuss into this particular unit. So as far as today's lecture is concerned, we will go through the introduction related with the CDSCO, the different offices of the CDSCO, the different laboratories, what are the different zonal offices, what are the different sub-zonal offices, what are the different port offices, what are the number of the laboratories. Then we have to see the hierarchies associated at the CDSCO. We have to see the state licensing authorities, the different responsibilities associated with the central government, state government. We also have to overlook onto the achievements of the CDSCO, some of the other ministries and the departments that are involved in the processes of the regulatory system. Then we have to see that what are the different regulatory gaps, challenges, and the different initiatives that have been taken by the CDSCO. So this will be the topic of our today's discussion. Let's have to the introduction related with this. Now the CDSCO, what it is the Indian Drug Regulatory System. What it regulate? It will regulate the drugs, it will regulate the cosmetics, it will regulate the medical devices through the act. Now that act is known as Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940, and the rules there under 1945. It is exercised at two different levels. The different levels, that is the central level, which is said to be the CDSCO, and the state level, that is the SLA. Now that SLA is nothing but the state licensing authority. Now both they had the different functionings. The CDSCO has functioning of giving the approvals, and the SLA, Central Licensing Authority, State Licensing Authority, after getting approval from the central, the state licensing authority that is responsible for the process of manufacturing of the drugs as well as the sale and distribution. With that, so as I said that there is a subject, that is the health, in which the drug that will falls under the concurrent list in the Constitution of India. Now at central level, the regulatory agency is the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which is attached with the office of the Directorate General of Health Services. So the DGHS, Directorate General of Health Services, that is responsible for the CDSO, and it is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, that is the MOH and FW. Nowadays this MOH and FW that became very very popular because it is going to be releasing all the guidelines associated with the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of all the SOPs are concerned, and it is under the government of India. So at every state level there is a state licensing authority. That means for Maharashtra, there is a state licensing authority. For Madhya Pradesh, there is another state licensing authority separately. For Tamil Nadu, there is a separate state licensing authority. And all these state licensing authorities, these are working under the central licensing authorities. As I said that CDSCO is the Central Drug Regulatory Authority, and it is headed by the DCGI, that is the Drug Controller General of India, DCGI, under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. CDSCO, it is the National Regulatory Authority, that is the NRA of the India. It is the topmost authority associated with giving approvals related with the new drugs. The CDSO has its headquarters situated at the New Delhi, that is the FDA Bhavan, Kotla Road, New Delhi. CDSO is mainly responsible for giving the approvals of the clinical trial, new drugs, medical devices, biopharmaceuticals, including vaccines, biosimilars, and the stem cell product. So all these are the products, all these are the agents which are related with the CDSO, and CDSO is responsible for giving approval to all these new drugs, clinical trials, medical devices, vaccines, biosimilars, and the stem cell products, etc. Now, CDSO that will perform its function, and it has 13 different offices. Now these 13 different offices, in terms of, it will be having the some of the zonal offices and some of the sub-zonal offices across the country, across the India. These are also involved in the monitoring of the clinical trials. So all the affairs associated with the new drugs, all the affairs associated with the clinical trial, that is related with that of the CDSO through these zonal and the sub-zonal offices. Here you can see this is the hierarchy. Now hierarchy, that means the different levels. You can see the Drug Controller General of India, the CDSO that is headed by the Drug Controller General of India, and this DCGI, that is the topmost authority that is the topmost body, which is supported by the JDCs. JDCs are nothing but the Joint Drug Controllers of India. The Joint Drug Controller, these are supported by the Deputy Drug Controllers of India. The Deputy Drug Controllers of India, these are supported by the Assistant Drug Controllers of India. And these Assistant Drug Controllers of India, these are supported by the drug inspectors, assistant drug inspectors, technical associates, and the different supporting staffs. So this is the hierarchy associated with the CDSCO and its functioning. The CDSCO has its zonal offices. There are some 6 zonal offices at different zones in order to cover the whole country. There are west zonal offices, there are east zonal offices, there are north zonal offices, and there are south zonal offices. The north zonal office is that is situated at Ghaziabad. The west zonal office that is situated in Ahmedabad and Mumbai. The south zonal office that is situated at Chennai, and the east Chennai along with the Hyderabad, and the east zonal office that is associated or that is situated at the Kolkata. Along with these 6 zonal offices, there are 7 sub-zonal offices which are in association with these zonal offices, and they will directly support through these zonal offices to that of the CDSCO. Now, sub-zonal offices, these are situated at Chandigarh, Bangalore, Goa, Jammu, Guwahati, Indore, and recently the Varanasi has been also added. The CDSCO has the central drug laboratories. There are 8 different laboratories. These are situated at different locations throughout the India. The CDL that is situated at Kolkata, it is situated at Mumbai, it is situated at Chennai, it is situated at Hyderabad, it is situated at Chandigarh, it is situated at Guwahati, it is situated at Kasauli and NIB Noida. Now, all these central drug laboratories, these are associated with these specific functionings. Like say, few these are involved in the process of testing of the drugs. Few these are involved in the process of testing of the medical devices. Few these are involved in the testing of the cosmetics products and etc. So as I said that these are having the specific functionings. The few these are involved in the process of testing of the samples that had been supplied by the inspectors and which are collected from the different locations as well as from the manufacturing site as well as from the medical stores. The import and export functioning that is controlled by the different port offices, and there are 13 port offices which are directly involved in the process of import and export of the drug products. The various divisions, these are associated in case of the CDSCO at New Delhi. The different divisions, these are the new drugs divisions, these are the biological divisions, these are the medical device and the in vitro devices divisions, and there is a cosmetic division. So all these individual department, all these individual divisions, these are associated with the different cosmetic product, medical devices, biologicals, and the new drugs and their functionings. Let's say, for example, the new drug division. Now, this new drug division that is responsible for controlling or for giving the approvals of the investigational new drugs, that is the IND. It is responsible for giving the approvals of the subsequent new drugs, that is the SND. It is responsible for the GCT, that is giving approvals for the global clinical trial. It is responsible for the fixed dose combinations. It is responsible for the BABE studies, that is the BABE studies, bioavailability and the bioequivalence studies. The new drug division that is also responsible for the process of controlling the import of the drugs. It is also responsible for the testing of the licenses. It is responsible for the serious adverse effects, that is the SAE. Also, it is responsible for the ethical committees or the ethics committees. The biological division, that is responsible for the new drugs. It is responsible for the biological product, biosimilars, GCTs, that is the global clinical trials, import, the process of registration, test licenses, and the AEFI, that is the adverse effects monitoring and the adverse effects following the immunization. Once the immunization has been given, after giving the immunization, if any kind of adverse effects are occurring, these are going to be monitored by the AEFI. This will going to becoming more and more functioning in the coming days, because the vaccine is going to be coming for the COVID-19, where there is a crucial and the significant role of the AEFI, that is the adverse effect following the immunization. Then there is a division which is said to be the medical devices and the IVD, that is the in vitro diagnostic. It is responsible for the clinical investigation. It is responsible for the clinical performance evaluation, that is the CPA. It is responsible for the process of import. It is responsible for the process of testing of the licenses. The cosmetic division, that is responsible for the process of registration of the cosmetics products. Here you can see this is the particular organogram which is associated with the CDSCO. Now you can see there is a DCGI which is at the top, and this DCGI, that is in association with the different offices. As I said that there is a central office headquarters situated at New Delhi. There are 6 zonal offices. There are different subzonal offices. There are 13 port offices, and there are 8 different laboratories. Now you can see that all these offices, they had their specific functionings, and these functionings, like say the headquarter, that is associated with the process of giving the approvals to the new drugs, to the clinical trials, to the process of import, to the process of biologicals, medical devices. It also has the division which is said to be the quality assurance division. The headquarter also has the pharmacovigilance department or the pharmacovigilance division. That means after collecting the responses, after collecting the feedbacks from the market related with that of the drugs. This is also associated with the process of the legal approvals. The zonal offices, these are responsible for the enforcement functioning. They will perform the GMP audits. GMP, that will stands for the good manufacturing practices. They will draw the samples. They will appoint the inspectors. Inspectors will collect these samples, and these samples will going to be tested at all these different laboratories through the zonal offices. This is responsible for the QMS audit, that is the quality management system audits, and the clinical trial audits. So all these functionings that will be performed by all the 6 zonal offices. Then you can see there are sub-zonal offices. The sub-zonal offices, these are responsible for the GMP audits. These are responsible for the process of coordination with the different states. These will also go for drawing these samples, and these samples will going to be sent to the laboratories for the process of testing. You can see there are 13 port offices, and these port offices are responsible for the process and the functionings of the import and export of the drugs, cosmetics, and the medical devices. The laboratory, as I said, that the laboratory are responsible for the process of testing of the drugs and the validation of the test protocols. So whatever has been provided, that will be properly validated, and the drugs that will be tested, and the reports that will be sent to the concerns. Next, you are going to see that there are state licensing authorities. So the state licensing authorities or the SLAs, they will perform their functioning under the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, that is CDSCO. So the State Drug License Authority or the State Licensing Authority, that is also known by the various names such as the FDA or the DCA, Drug Control Authority, or the Drug Licensing Authority, or the Drug Control Organization, or the DCA. The various names has been given. Every state has the specific SLA, that is the State Licensing Authority, and which will be identified by either of these terms. Every state, every union territory of the country has established its own licensing authority in order to regulate the drugs, in order to regulate the cosmetics in their state. The state licensing authority is headed by the commissioner. So this is most important. Commissioner, that is the head for the state licensing authority, and DCGI, that is the head for the, yes, the DCGI, that is the head for the, very correct, the DCGI, that is the head for the CDSU, that is the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, whereas commissioner, he is the head for the state licensing authority. Very true. Or it is also known as the Drug Control Authority and supported by the Joint Commissioner. So there is a commissioner, there is a joint commissioner, and there are assistant commissioners, there are deputy drug controller, there are assistant drug controller, and there are the drug inspector. So these are the workforce, these are the hierarchies. At state licensing authority, at top there is a commissioner, followed by joint commissioner, followed by assistant commissioner, followed by deputy drug controller, followed by assistant drug controller, and there is a drug inspector. Here you can see there are different other ministries or the departments that are involved in the process of controlling and the regulating the affairs related with the drugs and the cosmetics. Now you can see there are some of the related ministries and the other departments that are involved. Like these are, say, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. There is a National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, which is known as GPPA. There is a GEAC, that is the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. There is a ICMR is nothing but the Indian Council of Medical Research. There is a DBT RCGM. Now, this is nothing but the Department of Biotechnology Review Committee on the Genetic Manipulation. So, whatever the affairs related with the genetic manipulation at gene level, these are going to be reviewed by the Department of Biotechnology. Then there is a DST, that is the Department of Science and Technology. So, all these are the ministries that are involved. You can see at, if we see the Department of Pharmaceuticals, now this Department of Pharmaceuticals that will fall under the Ministry of Chemicals and the Fertilizers, and this Department of Pharmaceuticals that is having the NPPA, that is the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. Now this pharmaceutical pricing authority at national level, it is responsible for regulating the prices of the drugs and the medical devices. As you can see, there is a list of drugs which are regulated by this NPPA and which are going to be provided to the patients in the form of the national program of the pricing regulation, and these are available at a very affordable price, like say through the uh, jana aushadhi jana aushadhi medical stores, as you will going to see around you. Now these jana aushadhi medical stores, they will provide all these drugs at a regulated price. The price is fixed throughout the India as far as these drugs are concerned. Then come to the DCGI or the DGHS. Now DGHS, that is nothing but the Directorate General of the Health Services, that is DGHS. There is a Central Drug Standard Control Organization, that is the CDSCO. So CDSCO, that will fall under the Ministry of Health. Then there is a Ministry of Environment and the Forest. Now this Ministry of Environment and the Forest, that is responsible for the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, that is the GEAC, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. There is a department of biotechnology. This department of biotechnology that will perform its functioning onto the process of review. So there is a review committee onto the gene manipulation. So that is the RCGM. There is a state licensing authority. Now, this state licensing authority, it is responsible for the process of manufacturing of the drugs. After getting the approval from the CDSCO, they will manufacture it, and then these are responsible for the process of sale and distribution of the drugs and sale and distribution of the medical devices. So that is the different ministries and their functionings. Then you can see the different functions or the responsibilities that is associated with these regulatory bodies. As I said that there is a central regulatory body, that is the CDSCO, and there is a state regulatory body, that is the SLA. So these has the different functionings, individual functionings. Like say central, they has their responsibilities, they had their functionings in the form of giving approvals. The CDSO is responsible for giving approval of new drugs. It is responsible for giving the approval of the medical devices. The CDSO that will regulate the functionings like say import of drugs, medical devices and the cosmetics. They will regulate and gives approval to the different clinical trials. They will regulate the ethics committee and its registration, which is responsible for the process of clinical trial. The CDSO will also monitor the serious adverse effects and they will evaluate that one. The CDSO will also perform the function of giving amendments, doing amendments in case of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and the rules thereunder. So whatever the modification, whatever the addendum, whatever the supplements are there, that will going to be provided through this addendum by the CDSCO. There is a department which is said to be the pharmacovigilance, which will overall regulate the process of marketing, marketed product. There is a DTAB. DTAB that is nothing but the Drug Technical Advisory Body. So that is responsible for giving advices. That is responsible for giving the advices onto the technical matters associated with that of the drugs. So that is the DTAB. There is a DCC. This DCC is nothing but the Drug Consultative Committee. Now, this drug consultative committee that is responsible for the process of doing consultations and giving clarification associated with that of the drugs. So all these are the functions, all these are the responsibilities that will be performed by the CDSO, and all these are the central responsibilities. As the CDSCO has the central responsibility, in the same way the state licensing authority or the SLAs, they had their state functionings, their state responsibilities, and these are, that is, they will receive the license, they will issue the license in order to manufacture, in order to sell and distribute the drugs. The state licensing authority is responsible for monitoring the quality of the drugs, the quality of the cosmetics. The state licensing authority is responsible for investigations and the prosecutions. They will also responsible for the enforcement of the DMR, that is the Medical Remedies Act. DMR, that is the Drugs and Magical Remedies. That means any kind of false claim which is associated, any kind of false claim which is made, that will be rolled out. And there is a DPCO. DPCO, that is the Drug Price Control Order. The state licensing authority, they will also perform the functioning which is said to be the joint inspection. The inspectors are appointed by the state. The inspectors are also appointed by the central licensing agencies, that is the CDSCO, and they will perform their functioning jointly. So that is said to be the joint inspections. Then you can see there are different achievements which are given or which are performed by the CDSCO. The CDSCO had gone for the process of prohibition of around 344 irrational fixed dose combinations. Like say you will going to find that there is a combination of paracetamol with that of the diclofenac. There is a combination of the dicyclomine with that of the diclofenac. So like these, like say the paracetamol with that of the diclofenac, or say the ibuprofen with that of the paracetamol, or say the ibuprofen with that of the diclofenac. So all these combinations, all these fixed dose combinations, these are carefully evaluated by the CDSUA, and those which are not found rational as far as the combination is concerned, such has been prohibited, such has been totally banned by the CDSUA, and there is a such 344 irrational combinations are there, and the matter is still that is in the court of law. Under the Make in India project, the various measures has been taken by the CDSEO, like say in order to do the ease of doing business. The CDSEO had implemented the e-governance system. They had introduced the e-governance system in which the Sugam portal has been made. Now, this Sugam portal, that is nothing but the Suraksha, Gunavatta, and Manak. Sugam, SU, that will stands for the Suraksha. G, that will stands for the Gunavatta. A, that will stands for the and. M, that will stand for the Manakta. That is the Suraksha, Gunavatta, and the Manakta. That is the safety, quality, and the standards. So it is the online portal. Almost all activities that will be done by the online mode, every application that is having the online facility of submission. The CDSU had taken initiation, they had separated, or there is a new special amendment, or there is a new special rule that is associated with the medical devices under the GSR 227E. So that is the new drugs and clinical trial rules, which has been published with effective from the 19th March 2019 under the new drugs and clinical trial rules 2019. There is a medical device rule, that is the 2017, which has been published. Earlier, these medical devices were included into the CDSO or into the new drugs and clinical trials rules, but now it has been separated. It is the medical device rule 2017, which is published on the 1st January 2018 with effective from the 1st January 2018. There are certain achievements, like say the nationwide the drugs survey that was conducted, and around 47,000 the drug samples that were tested in the different government labs. So they will collect these samples, they will send all these samples to the different drug laboratories, and these drug laboratories, upon testing, they will give this certification as per as these samples which has been collected by the inspectors are concerned. The CDSO had also involved in the process of pharmacovigilance, hemovigilance, materiovigilance. Such programs has been newly started. Hemovigilance, that is nothing but the monitoring the biological or the blood related products. Materiovigilance, that is nothing but the testing and the monitoring of the safety of the material. The material refers to that of the different kinds of the medical devices. The CDSO that will also go for the process of testing of the cosmetics, or the testing of cosmetics onto the animals, that has been nowadays totally banned. That is, the process has been prohibited. Whenever it is not advised, then in that cases the animal testing that should not be carried out. Earlier, there was no timeline for any kind of submission processes, any kind of release of the certificate process, but now the timeline has been given by the CDSO. So the different timelines has been prescribed for processing of the different kinds of the approvals. The CDSO that is also involved in the process of clearance of the consignment at the different port offices, and that too at a 24 by 7. That is the there is a regular clearance which will be given at any time, and these offices they will remain open 24 by 7. The CDSCO was declared by WHO as a functional national regulatory agency against the stringent international indicator. The FDA or the WHO that used to do a survey, and in that survey they used to give certain points, and based on that certain indicators, based on the certain standards, based on the certain parameters, the CDSCO that was declared as a functional national regulatory agency by the WHO. There are different public relation officers. Now these PRO, they will work as a single window system, and that will responsible for process of grievance redressal mechanism. So whatever the queries, whatever the complaints are there, these are going to be addressed by this online portal. The CDSCO that is also started the intelligence cell that is constituted at the CDSCO headquarters, and this cell that is responsible for collecting the information through their resources, and based on the collected information, based on the collected data, the CDSCO that is responsible for conducting the different raids and collecting and seizing and sealing the different units. So that is also the initiative which the CDSCO had taken. The CDSCO also has the different gaps, different challenges, and the different limitations. The limitations are in this form of, say, the shortage of the manpower. The CDSCO has the very, very limited number of the inspectors. Like, say, they will be having only 223 number of inspectors. It will be very difficult to manage. It will be very difficult to regulate the whole country just with the handful number of the inspectors. So there is a shortage of manpower. There is a shortage of the administration staff. So that is one of the major limitation associated with the CDSCO. They will be having the space constraint. The CDSCO has its headquarters at New Delhi. It is located at New Delhi, and the space that is limitation. Say day by day the number of staff that is getting increased, but compared to that the space that is remaining limited one, right? So because of this space constraint, that is again the limitation associated with this. The CDSCO that is having the inadequate drug testing facility laboratories. Although they will be having the 8 different laboratories, they are going to be testing 1 lakh number of samples, but still the number of sample testing need to be increased. They will go for testing of the chemical, biological, medical devices, and the cosmetic products. The CDSCO, they has to notify all the medical devices that are available to the market. And again, this is the limitation. Yet they had not notified all these medical devices. So that is the challenge because of the less manpower and because of the less infrastructure space facilities. The CDSCO will also has the enforcement, like say these are involved in the additional work added in the last few years. They will go for the monitoring of the clinical trial. They will go for the site inspections. They will go for the registration of all ethics committees in case of India. And they has the additional responsibility of the DCJI in casualty assessment, decision amount on the compensation in case of the trial related deaths. So all these are the limitations, all these are the constraints associated with the CDSCO. Now let us summarize all the things that we saw in today's lecture. So we saw that the CDSCO, its structure, including its hierarchy, the different zonal offices, the different subzonal offices, the different laboratories, the various departments at the CDSCO, headquartered New Delhi, the responsibilities of the state and the center, that is the State Licensing Authority and the CDSCO, the different achievements of the CDSCO, and the different regulatory gaps or the challenges that will be faced by the CDSCO. Now let's go for some of the recap. So what the CDSCO is, it is responsible for the approval of the new drugs and the clinical trials in case of India. So the answer to this is the yes, the statement is true. CDSCO is headed by, who is the head for the CDSCO? The CDSCO that is headed by the Drug Controller General India, that is the DCGI. So with this, today we have to stop here only.